Today on TimesCast, the Obama administration tells congressional leaders that it's closing in on a major budget deal with Republicans. European leaders work on a short-term solution to Greece's debt problem. And in Syria, an anti-government pop culture emerges.
This afternoon, President Obama and House Speaker John Boehner, who've been working together for a while to try to make a large deal on deficit reduction, stand closer to achieving that goal than they've been at any time in the recent past, but they still have to figure out how they can sell it to a majority of House members, which in the House, of course, is controlled by the Republicans, and to a majority of senators, which, of course, is controlled by the Democrats. Here's the state of play. What has brought Boehner and Obama closer together back into serious negotiations on a plan was the breakthrough by the Gang of Six the other night. That involved a large number of Republican senators joining Democrats and saying if we achieve $4 trillion or thereabouts in deficit reduction over 10 years with revenue as part of that deal, we would be willing to make that deal. That burst of Republican support creates space and the possibility that John Boehner can sell this to his members. Procedurally, what is likely to happen is this. The main vehicle remains the fallback proposal that Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader, and Harry Reid came up with in the Senate to give the president the power to raise the debt ceiling. They're going to have a first vote on that on Sunday. They intend to pass it shortly thereafter, send it to the House. And the hope is that you have this Gang of Six proposal that will revive what Boehner and Obama have been working on, and in particular, give Boehner the new ability to sell this to Republican members who have been facing bad polls. They've been under the gun from a lot of commentators to the extent that they're endangering the economy. So John Boehner is now engaged in a lot of back-channel discussions with his own caucus, also with House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, who's suddenly relevant because she's going to have to provide a big chunk of votes to get this passed, considering how many Republicans are absolutely opposed to raising the debt ceiling under any circumstance. So leaders are getting more optimistic that this is going to come together. They still got a lot of work, a lot of negotiation, especially with House Republicans ahead of them.
European leaders gathered in Brussels to negotiate a new rescue plan for Greece.
On Thursday, Europe's leaders struck a deal to make it a lot easier for Greece to pay the terms of its quite onerous debt. The deal is very complex, and it's called actually a selective default. But that does not mean that Greece is actually in default and is not paying its interest payments. It's going to keep paying its interest on its debt. It just means that it has a longer period of time to do so. 10 years, 15 years, that's going to be negotiated by the banks in Greece. But right now, before the deal, Greece would have to pay many billions of euros in interest in the next 2 years. That's just too much for a country that's going through a very serious austerity program. This is a short-term solution for Greece, and it's a short-term solution for Europe as a whole. The problems of sovereign debt in Europe have not gone away. The debt burdens in Greece and Italy and Portugal and Ireland remain very high. So for the short term, I think it's probably going to be a success. You see that investors have cheered it, interest rates went down. But the longer term problem is still there, which is Greece has just too many debts to repay over the long term.
And in Syria, protesters use pop music to rally against President Bashar al-Assad.
Last weekend, a photographer named Moises Saman and I visited the city of Hama. It's Syria's fourth largest city, and since government and security forces withdrew last month, it's become liberated of sorts. In this arena of a very tentative and even skittish freedom, you've seen the emergence of a pop culture in a way, a pop culture that's begun to build itself around the protests that happen, in particular on Friday when you see tens of thousands in the streets, but also in these nightly demonstrations that draw the youth of the city. One of the songs has become kind of a sensation for these protesters is Come On Bashar, Leave. The song has become a YouTube sensation, at least by Syria's standards. There's various versions of it. There's a remix of it. The song says a lot about the youth culture that's begun to emerge in Hama. It was sung by a guy named Ibrahim Kashush, and in those protests he became somewhat famous singing this song. He also became a martyr for a lot of protesters. When he was kidnapped earlier this month, his body was found a day later. His throat had been cut, and more than that, his vocal cords had actually been ripped out. Now, while Ibrahim Kashush was probably the most famous singer of the song, There was actually someone else who wrote the lyrics. His name is Abdurrahman, or he goes by Rahmani, a stage name of sorts. And over our 2 days there, we actually met Rahmani. And he's like a lot of other young guys in Hama. He's a part-time electrician, part-time student, and he seems to be doing the protests as much as anything else out of fun. We did the interview in a basement room where he was sitting with other guys his age. They, in fact, at one point started watching the YouTube videos of him singing the song. Like a lot of the young guys you meet in Hama, they seem to be kind of waiting for the unknown. They're not sure what's going to come next, whether the government tries to retake the town, what's going to happen to them or their friends. But they seem to be enjoying the moment. That's certainly what Rahmani seemed to suggest. I asked him if he was going to keep writing songs, and he wasn't sure. I asked him if he was going to become famous, and he offered a line that seemed to be fitting for the moment. "How can I become famous?" he asked me. "I'm wanted."